Good morning, everybody. I didn't post a podcast last night. So instead, I did some writing, journal entries in the day. And then I sort of started a manuscript. For now, the title is, the working title is just Dionysius. And I was thinking of different titles, but that can be later. And it's not great, but at least I started. The problem is, it's not that I don't have the material, it's not that I don't remember the details, it's not that they're not interesting. They're very, very, very interesting. The problem is that there's just so much, and where to start, And I already have several manuscripts about this particular addiction and previous manuscripts as well, none of which I have actually published or even tried to publish. A couple of times I've had editors and it didn't work out, and it just didn't go. And then I did get the addresses and website information for the publishers and agents, and you have to send a query letter, and you have to send a sample, and you have to it has to be in a certain font, and you have to explain and compare why you think you should be published and compare it to other writers. And it's like applying for a job, and it's just too late for me to do that shit now. At some point, I'm going to have to do it because I really want to get my work out there. But it's so much easier to do this. I just pick up my phone and I just start talking, and I put it out there, and nobody sees it. It's okay, 20 people, 22 people. But that's kind of good too, because I'm flying under the radar. Nobody gets, like. My polar opposite in every way, There was supposedly rational people in the planet, Peterson, close to the right and all of that stuff. He's got the following, he's got millions of people, but he's had to pay the price for that. And I would never, I don't have, what I have to say is very different than what he has to say. Mine is sort of a glimpse into a slightly disorganized mind, slightly, not entirely, but I sort of have the same frameworks, the Jungian stuff and the psychology, and I was a psych prof, and I am a podcaster, and all of that. So, but just in such a different place and such a different worldview, and such, and not, so I'm not going to, attract that kind of, ever. If I go from 24 people to 50 people, 100 people, I'm fairly happy. But the writing, and that too, my writing is not going to be, it's not going to be like, no, even if I ever get it published, it's hardly going to sell at all. It's going to be like, probably it's the same people that watch my podcasts. It's going to be like, and they're going to be remaindered, and it's going to be like, it's going to be a complete and total flop. But I still want to do it. Because in the writing, I can reveal more of the details that I can't hear. Because the details here, because they're personal and other people are involved, and there's, some legal issues, If I start talking about this stuff openly here, it's putting myself and others in some risk, and it's very, 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 very personal. So, and it's, and I pretty far, and the people, they're still out there doing the stuff that they're doing. So I can't really, whereas if it is, written, edited, changed, slightly fictionalized, and go, you have the little warning. This is some of this stuff may have happened, but some didn't. Then you can get away with a lot more. And then, so, and as I said, it's not going to be a lot of, even with my writing, it's not going to appeal to a lot of people. It's very, very, very specialized. But I really want people in that world. Don't read much. They don't read much because you're kind of busy doing other shit. You gotta get the money for your next, high, and you gotta get then your high. So there's not a lot of reading time there. But I do want people with that world because I really think that world should be, it should be I'm not glorifying it. Please don't get me wrong. I'm not romanticizing it. It's very gritty and it's very dark and it's it's kind of, it's the unspeakable horrors, but it's also the, unimaginable delights at the same time. And it's and the people that live like that every day, it's very courageous, by no means weak. And maybe that's, I keep coming back, why do I hate the 12 steps so much? And I think it's probably that. It's probably because they see junkies as weak, when I don't think they are. I think they're the opposite, Now, that doesn't mean that you can, that you can't stop, It's very, very different. You can't come back to the ordinary world model I've been using. So anyway, that's, those are just some of my thoughts. I mean, but that's why I do want to publish, because I want to publish for the non-turning back strugglers. By the way, I'm going to have to change that. That's not fitting maybe the worshippers of Dionysus, the Dionysians. I have to, let's do that for now. So I have to, I want to put my version of that world out there for the people that are in there, and also the people that are, have the reasons to turn back, like myself. And I'm not going to tell anyone to turn back or how to turn back. I'm just showing, I've been talking about how I've been trying, and, there's been some success, quote, success, unquote. I mean, I did make 19.5 months, I did make 22 years at one point, and then I made 19.5 months, and then I made 90 days, and I made 60 days, and I made 90 days, which in that world, in the world of addiction, to go more than 2 days or 3 days, some people count it as a success. When I tell people I did 90 days, they often, they often really don't believe me. They go, how can an addict do 90 days clear, So there's various degrees of, whatever success is, again, So, yes, my system, and it's obviously not anywhere close to rehab or 12-step, my system is, based on my own processes, my own, attempts and failures, and how long this lasts, and what works, and now I've shifted again. I've shifted my perspective. I keep shifting my perspectives. And we had the possession metaphor with the rodent weasel and the dragon, and then we had the Campbell's return of the hero metaphor, and the ordinary world, and the return to ordinary world metaphor. We had the various frameworks, and right now it's a little bit more of a Dionysian framework, but it is a return, but it's a return changed. It's a return altered. I ended up talking for another half an hour, but no, I'm not going to include all of that. I wouldn't subject people to that. But that's what, I need to work out some of the stuff in my reading, and then I can go into more details and just see where it takes me. So that's the plan for today, do some writing, and then I want to go out to eat. So right now, I fed the kids, so we've got both the babies very nicely settled here, and they slept on the bed with me very nicely at night. Okay, I'm actually on a hunt for Agita. I have no clue where she is. I've checked all the usual hiding spots. Babies are here. Can you please tell me where your sister is? I have no clue. There she is. I searched everywhere. Looking under this bed, under that bed, by the window there, everywhere. And I forgot. That's what was kind of hidden by this, so I didn't see her. So, sweetheart, that's a good idea, but anyway. So we got Agita there, and we get the babies here. And we had a good night. Baby's in the bed, and I think Agita was under the bed, or one of our other favorite hiding spots. And, I'm not in crying mode now, so things have shifted a little bit. And I did do some writing yesterday. Not great, and it's still a bit disjointed, but as I said, the problem is there's just so much where to begin. And so at this point, I'm not even worried about, publishing is way down the line. I've written for 30 years without publishing, so I can just keep going, just writing for myself. So I'm going to do that. I'm just going to sit there and write and see what comes to me. And then, might go out to eat later. I wanted to yesterday, but I just didn't have the energy. So today I might, So anyway, we'll keep you posted in a different space. And, I think many would call this a better space, because I'm not as, there isn't a pull to go out and do you know what? And, I'm sitting here crying, even though everyone's told me that was not necessarily a bad thing, So the crying seems to be done for now. Anyway, bye for now. It's Sunday night. I've been home all day with the kids. I've been doing some writing. I mean, it's moving. It's a little disjointed. It's a little bit all over the place. And, I'm writing it really for myself. And I'm just writing whatever comes to me. So, just the stuff that I'm kind of needing to process from, where I am now and how I got here. So there we go, So I just sat here, did, 9-10 pages again today. And babies were with me in the living room, and Agita was here while I was writing, and had a good night, had a dream, but not, not a nightmare. So everything's okay. I'm now planning on, so after all the writing, rather than having another frozen, Dr. pizza, I think I do want to go out and have a little bit of fresh air and a bit of a drive. So I'm going to leave everybody loose. They all seem quite settled. And I'm just going to go to, Chinatown. But rather than Chinese, I think I'm going to get there's a Pakistani place there that has a good fish fry naan, roll. And I can get some vegetable biryani. So I can have a little bit of that tomorrow. Maybe taste it today and keep the biryani for tomorrow. So that's my plan. So I'm going to leave everybody. I'm not going to be long. I'm just going to take the mini. Chinatown, have a little, kebab there, or fish kebab there, and then come back, and then just relax with the kids. I was trying to sign up to Apple TV because I want to see Shantaraman, but I'm having a problem. I think I'm going to need tech support from a friend pretty soon because it keeps asking me for my Apple ID, and I don't have an Apple ID, so I tried to create one, and then I couldn't create one, and then I already have my email addresses on my TV thing. Anyway, never mind. I will have to. I would like to get it because I want to see that series. I read the book quite some time ago. Didn't like his writing style, but it was still sort of interesting. Anyway, bye for now. I will probably tape at the restaurant, and then after I come back. So, bye for now. I'm not counting, but it is, it's so soon that it's kind of hard not to count. And tomorrow is going to be a week. There were also a little bit, maybe I should record this. There were a little bit of cravings. Before I got started on the writing, a little bit of pull. I mean, pretty low level, but, I am writing about stuff that happened, and, I am thinking about those things, and there were, some situations that kind of, it pulled a bit, but right now, it's quite manageable, and that's a little bit of a danger with the writing, because if you're writing about this stuff, it could lead to cravings. Usually, it's sort of a protected place when I'm in here. But anyway, let's see how it goes. It's better than not writing. It's better than just sitting here and, and craving. So anyway, at least there's something useful coming out of it, and it might help me, with the frameworks and everything else. So anyway, from the four of us, bye for now. Just going to go out to get some takeout food, and I'll talk to you from there and when I come back. Bye for now. Hello everybody, it's me, Nutty Professor, and I've come here to Sizzler's Kebab, downtown Toronto. It's actually in Chinatown, right on Spadina, and it's actually very full today. This is not usual. Usually, there's a lot of taxi drivers come here and it's open really late at night. But on a Sunday evening, we've got all kinds of people, we've got families, and this gentleman was actually sitting at the booth over there. But the family came in, and they hadn't ready to sit, so he asked if he could come here. He gave up his spot, which was very nice of him. So I don't mind, and I'm not going to be here long. I'm just going to have some of the fish kebab, and I'm getting a vegetable biryani to go. And I might taste it here, but that's going to be my tomorrow's supper. So, the food here is good. They've actually renovated a bit during the pandemic. It's a little nicer than it used to be. I always used to like the chicken kebab rolls here, the chicken kebab and naan. The naans are very fresh and very good. So anyway, I'll show you the food when it comes. Bye for now. I have to say the smell is very good. Those people are having all kinds of tandoori chicken and kebab and stuff. And this gentleman is like semi-vegetarian, so he's having like a eggplant curry and naan. And I'm just waiting for my fish wrap. and veg biryani. And it smells very. The food smells very, very good, and it's making me very, very hungry. Bye for now. Food arrived, and she brought it to me as a takeout, because I'd actually said I wanted this as a takeout and that to have here. But she brought it both as a takeout, which is fine. I'm just gonna have. I'm not even gonna have all of it. I'm gonna have half the fish naan, and it's like tandoori fish inside a very nice crisp, tandoori naan, and it's they wrap it like a wrap. And then the vegetable biryani is very good. I mean, there's chickpeas in here. Well, a lot of vegetables besides chickpeas, but it's a very nice biryani, So anyway, I'm going to have just a bit of this. I'm not going to have all of it, and then this will be my a little bit of this at home, my late night snack, and then tomorrow I've got dinner. Bye for now. Hello, everybody. Just came in the door and took out my coat and put away the takeout food, and Agita has settled there. She was in the living room, I think. And then one of the babies is here, wondering about. And then the other baby is... Oh, and then the other baby's here. I think he was using the litter box. So we got one of the babies there. And we got one of the babies there. And I don't need to count ears or anything. And Agita's there. And I have lots of leftover food for, my late night snack. I've still got some fish naan, and I'll get biryani for tomorrow. And now I'm just going to, get changed, feed the kids, relax a bit, spend some time with the kids and enjoy the kids, and go to bed. Another day done. And even though I'm not counting, it's kind of hard not to be aware that tomorrow is a week. It's so close. It is a week, and it hasn't been. Yeah, it's been bad and it hasn't been bad. It's been good in the sense that I've been coming up with new frameworks, spending time with the kids, doing some writing. It's not great writing, but, I'm getting some stuff down. I can always process and edit it later. Anyway, bye for now. From the four of us, bye for now and see you next podcast. Baby running around. I'm just so happy when I come home and I see the babies, and Agita. And there's another baby running around. And then there's Agita there. Okay, feed you guys. I'll have a shower, feed you guys. And then we'll just relax for a while. We'll just be four cats relaxing. Okay, so bye for now. Hello, everybody. It's now, even though I wasn't counting, it's 1 week later, and just because, it's so close that it's kind of hard not to count, and it is a little bit of a milestone. So even though I'm not going to be like going 14 days, 17 days, 28 days, whatever, I just got a note in passing, it is a week as of today. So, we got the babies there, we got the Agita there, and I was here. Now, it's been sort of eventful, even though I haven't been out yet today. I did, post last night, I taped last night, going out, and I did quite a bit of writing yesterday. And, today, there's been some practical stuff about the dryer. Apparently, they sent the manufacturer sent a replacement dryer to Bad Boy, but Bad Boy can't find it. So I'm working on that, and this happened a few days ago. So they're working on that. And then I talked to my contractor, and there's a little development. One of the houses that I was interested in out there in Chatham, actually, as of today, has come down in price. So there's still some hurdles. I have to sell my house first. I have to finish it, the rest of the things that need to be done. Kitchen counters is supposed to be ready this week, and the other stuff, the dryer, and the rest of the light fixtures, and the railing upstairs, and the cleaning up. So, but it's getting closer. It's getting closer. My contractor is moving. He does know that would be a very major rechanneling for me right now. So and that's sort of a fresh start in a new house in the town's area where I could walk to shops and and we can have a catio for the kids and all of that. So, it's not just the one thing. It has to be all the things together, the framework. And again, hello everybody, it's much later in the day, and I'd intended to do some more writing on the material I started a couple of days ago, which temporarily, working title, I'm calling Dionysians. But, so I wrote 10 pages yesterday, 10 pages the day before. It's, I can discuss things in there that I can't discuss here because I can go into details, and and here I'm a little bit more cautious because it's more open and other people are involved and all of that stuff. So I'm just going where, as always, for now, I'm just writing for myself, and I'm also, for the most part, I'm doing these podcasts for myself, even though the difference is that they are accessible. So if somebody wants to see them, they can see them. Now, there have been some developments, Today I didn't end up writing. There was the practical stuff I told you about earlier with the dryer and all of that, and talking to the contractor and the house out there, which is reduced in price with the house that I actually like. But again, that's something we'll see how it goes. First, I have to finish, my contractor has to finish my house, I have to sell it, and we'll see if that house is something else. And that's going to be part of my program. And I'm not even going to call it program. I don't know. Terminology is a bit difficult here, and I'm not calling it return anymore because the model has shifted. But that is part of my whatever, shift, is that I do want to move into the town, a bit of a change of energy, a different space for myself and the kids, Now, and I'm not necessarily doing it now the way I was before as a rechanneling so that I will stay clean or clear, because, I have a slightly different focus on it now, So, which some people may say right, some people may say wrong, but this is where I'm going for now, and we'll see how it goes, Now, something I do want to talk about. My local cat rescuer friend is a big fan of donkeys. I've mentioned that before. And she does think that donkeys are big protectors, because if she ever gets a rescue farm, she wants to get a donkey to help protect the hens and the chickens from the foxes, So we've been talking about all of that, and she very nicely said that, since I was struggling, and, it was kind of metaphorically, to keep the foxes at bay, foxes being kind of rodent weaselish and possibly dog-like, but to keep the firefoxes at bay, she hypothesized, or she imagined a mythical donkey to protect me, which is which I was very touched by. And that was back a couple of days ago when I was in crying mood. I think that made me cry. So the whole donkey thing, and I said, I appreciate you sending me a mythical donkey to protect me, and I appreciate the thought of it, and symbolically, it's an important thing to have a donkey protector. And then yesterday I found my father has a huge collection of all kinds of shit here. So I did find, and I was thinking, and I go, doesn't there a donkey here somewhere? And I looked in that cabinet over there, and look what I found! A donkey! Now this one is actually, and I do remember, I think we have, my father had 3 or 4 of these, and I think the other ones are all packed in boxes and storage, but this one was here in the cabinet, and as I said to my friend in the text, obviously he was staying here because he knew that he would need to manifest himself as a symbol when my friend symbolically sends me a mythical donkey protector, So, and she named it, and we were talking about names for it, and she named it Argos. And I think she said that Argos. Now, from what I remember and what I looked up in very quickly online, I don't think Argos. Maybe I'm misremembering this, but I don't think Argos was a donkey as such. I think Argos was actually a a giant. Yes, had the 100 eyes, and that's a good thing to have. The symbolically, the 100 eyes is a good thing to have. In terms of something that is protecting me, it can see all the different angles and all the different dangers. But so she called it Argos, and it doesn't matter now whether Argos was actually a donkey or a giant or an in-between. It's not important. The actual mythology is irrelevant at this point. It's our own framework and what it means to me, and it means a lot to me to have a protective donkey, and I got one named Argos right there. Now I have these other. And I've introduced these in previous podcasts. And I have Bast, the cat goddess figurines, So that's the big one, which is, of course, me, Daddy. And then there's 3 to represent my kids, Bast, the Egyptian cat goddess. And then there's a laughing Buddha, which I think I bought in Chinatown after one of my sessions with my analyst, And at that time we were struggling with something else. I think I was actually, it was not substances. I was teaching, and or maybe it was already, I don't know what. But on the way back in Chinatown, I was like going, oh, maybe I should get a laughing Buddha, just as a symbol. Not that I remember. I've got a much earlier podcast where I did tell the Buddha to fuck off. As interesting as I do find the the Eightfold Path and the Four Noble Truths, any form of organized of you must do this. And I looked into it, and if there was any religion, even though some people don't actually consider it a religion, but if there was any that might have appealed to me, it was Buddhism. But the whole prescriptions and you must do this, and you must follow the Eightfold Path, and these are the 4. And suffering can be overcome, but it can only be overcome in this way. It is by getting rid of desire. That's the only way. Whereas my path is kind of exploring the desire in more detail, It's kind of a different path, Buddhism just doesn't work for me. And I have a much earlier podcast. It was taped, I think, in the studio where I described telling the Buddha to fuck off. I had a sort of waking vision of the Buddha. I was driving along to the country house, and he offered me peace, and it was like a green or a blue light. I think it was a blue light coming from the left hand. Left again, significant. Coming out of his left hand, and I was driving. I was not on any substances. I was just a little tired, and I think it was by Brantford, Ontario, scenic Brantford, Ontario, and I said the Buddha offering me, and it's like, look, and the addiction had started. I wasn't high at the time, but the addiction had begun, or what I considered the addiction, at the time. So, or what other people might consider, including my friend, an addiction. So I saw the blue light, and I just had a sense. He was saying, look, there's a way out here. All you need to do is follow my Eightfold Path, accept the Four Noble Truths, follow the Eightfold Path, meditate, do all of this stuff. And, it will take you away from the stuff that you are getting into right now. If you don't want to do that, come this way. And I just said, fuck off, Buddha. I'm not, if there is a way out of this, it is my own way out. I am not following your Eightfold Path. I'm sorry. I mean, I admire what you did, and the Enlightenment and all of that stuff. And I'm actually reading a book right now, which kind of is from perspective of his wife, who was kind of pissed off that he abandoned her and his son to go off and find enlightenment. It's kind of a different angle on it. But anyway, that's a whole other thing. So I was just like, I've already told the Buddha to fuck off, but it's a symbol. It's interesting, and I've got a seated one. It's a candle, and I get the laughing one, and then I have the basts, obviously, and as much as I admire and appreciate, mythology and their cat goddesses, I mean, I don't worship them. It's not like the Bast was not a very benign goddess, She did devour and rip up. I think there's some of that shown in American Gods, the series based on Gaiman's book. And I also really like the book. I reread it recently. So, and then we've got a Nukshk there, and now before I used to sit on this ego chair and I used to talk about cravings, and I used to go, these are symbols, they're not, there's not a higher power. But at one point, I think my analyst did see the bast that I had there as a higher power, as my version of higher power. But I just don't like that framework. I don't like the perspective, higher, lower, whatever power, So, and I used to sit here on the ego chair and talk about the symbols, and battle my cravings and, kind of use them as aids. But, not that I was asking them for help the way that, the 12-steppers ask their higher power to take away their cravings. But I was like going, that's just some energy that I find is powerful, and that's something that I don't want to be doing at the time, and I'm, and I would, I'm this energy might take me away from that energy. It didn't quite work that way, as we've seen, So they're not really. If that was the goal, if the goal was to completely and totally stop doing drugs, and the other stuff, the symbols were not very effective. But as I said to my friend, or I said somewhere, today, who's to say? Who's to say that they weren't effective, because I'm still here, and I've shifted. I really do think that there has been a shift, and I think that I have learned and I have grown. And I think maybe that's more of the goal than to have completely gone clean and never touched drugs and never gone into that world again. And I would be in a very different place now, and my podcast wouldn't be in this direction, and my writing wouldn't be in the direction it's going. And I think this is the direction I needed to go in. So my friend couldn't see any good at all, the out of province one, couldn't see any good at all in what was happening to me, And her thing was, and I read out the email to her last, in one of the previous podcasts, about how what I'm doing is not working in my only way, and this is is to seek help, and to and all of that stuff, and again with the rehab and with this and with that, and how it's I read it out. I'm not going to read it out again. So, and at the time I really did appreciate her sentiments, but I don't like being told what to do, and I don't like being told what's right and what's wrong and what I did, and what is an addiction and what isn't an addiction, So, and she said, yeah, it's definitely an addiction, because you're struggling and you're battling and you're trying to go clear. And I was, but that's because that's the framework I was in. Psychologically, I was like, I saw it as a battle. I saw the werewolf as possessing me, and how and how I didn't want to fall. Remember podcast From the Edge? I didn't want to go over the edge. And obviously, I've been trained in psychology. CBT and humanistic and behavioristic and Freudian and Jungian and all of that stuff, So even though I never took a lot of it seriously, even when I was teaching, I have been conditioned, and I do think along certain lines, So yes, I saw it as a battle, and I saw something I didn't as something that I didn't want to do, and it did. It took me very far down, far up or down or in or whatever. It took me to places that most people won't go, and think people shouldn't go. And yes, it was, and yes, I do have my kids. Very important to me, So I do want to come back, but I explored. I went very, very far, but I'm back for now, and I'm seeing things differently. And at this point, I don't want to be told this is your only way to be, to be rehabilitated. That's what rehab is, and this is your only way out, and you must do this, because what you're doing is not working, and and people who say that it wasn't an addiction is bullshit. I'm not agreeing with them. I'm not agreeing with either side now. I'm saying if I saw it as an addiction, then it was an addiction, If I'm not seeing it as an addiction, then it's not an addiction, Now, it may or may not come back, but, the other way, it was coming back all the time, because there was something that I was not doing, which I think I am doing now. Because I'm in a different space, and my writing has shifted, my podcasts have shifted, my worldview has shifted, So I think it's something has changed, And again, I don't want to see. My friend would probably say worse, but whether it's better or worse, you know, whether I'm actually quite crazy and quite nut, you know. It was the Gnarls Barkley song. It's a really nice line from that, which I don't remember offhand right now. But anyway, and I'm not going to sing because my donkey-loving friend, you know, has told me never, ever, ever to sing in a podcast again because of, you know, when I almost sang a line from the Cohen song and my other friend is a very big fan of Cohen. So that actually, so I was very, very pleased with this symbolic donkey, and it's there to protect me, which is not necessarily to say, and that's the difference from these other symbols. I'm not taking this donkey necessarily as to be a protector from, you know, bad people, bad drugs, or, you know, doing something that I shouldn't be doing. Yes, some of that, because it was getting very, very dangerous, you know. But this donkey, Argos, with the 100 eyes, you know, and I think that's the sixth chakra in Kundalini, you know, the third eye, you know, opening the vision, you know. So I think that this protector donkey is more to keep me, you know, on the right path for me, you know. And yes, to try to keep the firefoxes away, because, you know, there is stuff that at this point could be very dangerous for me, but at this point, I'm not feeling it. I've said this before. Okay, I did feel a little bit of pull this morning and yesterday, a little bit, you know, but that's going to be there. And especially when I'm writing about some of this stuff, you know, when I'm writing about some of this stuff, yes, there was a little bit of a pull, but it's not like it was before, you know. So at this point, Argos is here, you know, has joined the other symbols, you know, and I really appreciate my friend, you know, sending a symbolic donkey. Very, very, very thoughtful of her, you know. So we got and it turned out I actually had a donkey, you know, had a donkey, you know. I think, as I said, it's called Crown Derby. It's porcelain made somewhere, and it's hand painted, I think, you know. So we've got cats. We got a donkey, we got Buddhas, you know, and we get Nukshuk, you know. So we've got various mythologies represented there. So now, my local friend, she sent a text saying, you know, she's catching up on the podcast, and she saw I think she's up to the when in which I read out my friend's email. And then she 100% agreed with the email, and that kind of triggered me a little bit because I reread, I looked at that podcast again and what I read out, and as much as I appreciate the sentiment of you know, the out of province friend, and of course the local friend as well, but the out of province friend and the whole, you know, framework, the whole kind of framework of, you know, the only way out is, you know. Is rehab, and what you're doing is wrong, and you must change. And I'm like, you know, I as I said to my other friend, it's like I'm a feral cat, and, you know, and you're taking me and you're locking me in a cat room, you know. But she has a cat room, and they're her ferals, they're semi-ferals, they're socialized. But I don't want to be socialized in that way. I'm not going to, you know, I'm going to, you know, whatever I do, like I said, I try not to harm people or myself, you know. Well, you know, I do explore with some substances, but, I try not to harm people or myself. And at this point, I'm not feeling the pull. So I'm not feeling the pull. I'm like going, whatever has changed, you know, better or worse. And I'm not going to use better or worse, you know. So I'm just going to explore. I'm going to do my podcast. I'm going to write. I'm going to see about the house. I'm going to look after my kids. And I'm not going to say. And I personally think that was part of my mistake. When I was saying, and that is what, you know, rehab and, you know, any theory on addiction. And that's what my friend said. I don't know that much about addiction. I don't know, you know. But, you know, neither do they. Neither do the people who brainwash and condition, you know. They don't really know much, you know. You know. So I'm going to figure it out for myself. I'd rather do it myself. And if it takes me in a direction that works for me, then fine. And at this point, I'm like, I've said it before. I am not going to say I will never do it again. And I'm not going to say I'm going to do it either. And all I can say is right now, there's tiny little bits of pull here and there, but that's going to be there because I went to some very, very powerful places, and I did some very powerful stuff, So yeah, there's all kinds of physiological and psychological things, and stuff from childhood coming up, and there's a lot of stuff has come up, So yeah, there's going to be a little bit of a pull here and there, but but at this point, I am as pull free as I've ever been in 6 years since the addiction began, So whatever I'm doing, I'm going to keep doing it, And I don't really like being. That's the whole thing with the Nutty Professor. I never have liked being told what to do by anyone, by parents, and that was the weirdest thing. That I was kind of in my parents' world until I was almost 60. Live with them for the last 10 years. So there was, I don't like being told what to do, that's the whole thing. And when people tell me, this is the only way, or this is the only way it can be done. I mean, if somebody's gifting me a mythological, donkey, that's kind of different. That's a donkey to help me for, but to actually say you have to go to rehab, I'm really, I don't know. So I ended up, I sent my friend an email saying, about this, saying, look, please don't ever tell me what to do again. I'm kind of on my own path, and I'm going to follow it wherever it takes me, and whether it's good or bad. And like I said, I'm not gonna. I don't steal. I don't. I try. I haven't killed anyone. I won't kill anyone. Even when I did party, I was as careful as possible about not driving while intoxicated. I was careful about that, and certain things happened to me. Again, I don't really want to talk about it, but I regressed, I did regress. Now, a couple of things. This is getting long. In terms of value judgments, and that's what I'm kind of feeling now. Like my friend she means really well. She really does, which is the only reason I haven't, completely cut off the friendship. She means really well, but I feel now that she was imposing her value system and beliefs on me, and which are pretty much societies, but she's imposing her beliefs on me and telling me what's right and wrong, and I don't like that. I'm not in that space right now. So that's what's happening now. I'll give a hypothetical example. I'm not saying, and in my writing, I am discussing this whole thing about judging. The person who came up with slithering and slitheries, that language, Dusty Dumpster and Weasels, she once said that, only God can judge, Now, since we're not, I don't like using that term. I don't, we got energy there, which, but it's not, I don't like that, that framework, that in terms of the paternalistic God thing, So, but at this point, I have been writing about this, and this is what I'm getting back to in terms of, the explorations of shadow and drugs and the world that I've gone into, which a lot of people would consider, would judge, and I find myself kind of, that's the whole thing, judging myself, judging others, and I want to write as non-judgmentally as possible. So I'll give you a hypothetical example. I'm not saying that this, I necessarily met a person like this or not, because again, I other people are involved, and there's privacy, and anonymity and all of that stuff. But I'll talk very anonymously. But I'll just say hypothetically, let's say that during the course of some of my travels over the past 6 years, into the underground places where there are substances and there are other things going on, let's say that I encountered, actually probably encountered many people like this, many, but let's focus on one for now. So let's say that there was a person who and not a young person. Let's say a person in their 40s. He or she who was dealing with some, was diagnosed and labeled and on prescribed antidepressants, and let's say working in a variety store or a fast food place or something like that, So working in a minimum wage job, on legally accepted, prescribed antidepressants and living with family, let's say, Now let's say this person, he or she, changes, and goes off the accepted antidepressants and starts using street drugs, And let's say, let's say the person starts earning money in a manner not societally accepted, not stealing, and, sort of borderline, possibly illegal, but definitely morally unaccepted by society. Now, is that person, so if I encounter a person like that, should I say to them, you need to get back get off these unaccepted drugs, get out of these dangerous situations, and go back to working in a minimum wage job and doing the societally accepted drugs and living with your parents and not living in this underground world where there's possible dangers and there's all kinds of stuff going in and there's all kinds of people and stuff and go back, get out, That would be and even when I'm writing about it, I feel like saying that, but then I'm like, who am I to judge? I, of all people, who am I to judge what is right and wrong, or what is moral or immoral, or what a person should or shouldn't be doing, and which drugs are legally accepted and prescribed and therefore okay, and the ones that are, considered dangerous, because, and they may be, so maybe the prescribed ones. So may anything be, closest I have come to death over the last 6 years was actually when I got out of the car in my father's car accident. If I had opened that door and got out 30 seconds earlier, I would be dead now. So that is the closest I have come to death over the last 6 years, rather than all the various, substances that I have been, and I've been in some very dangerous situations too. I have been, but I've come back, So who's to say? Who's to judge? And as I said, it's hard to do this here because to talk about this stuff with it being more, whereas in there, when I write, I can write it out and then I can go, oh, I made this up, or I fictionalized this, or that one didn't happen, or this one didn't. And even what I just told you now, it was a little bit of a combination of things. It was I might have met people like that, I might have not, and there might have been like a combination of people. It's a hypothetical thing, so, and completely anonymous. So, but that's the type of thing that I want to write about, So, who am I to judge? Who am I to say what's good and bad? And that's why I don't like other people saying it to me. I don't. So I know that my friend meant very well. I know that my friends mean very well, and I don't want to lose them over something like this. But I am going to explore in my own way. I'm not necessarily going to go back to that underworld. I think I've learned all I can from it, but you never know. It may call me back at some point, and if it calls me back, then we'll see. And in the meanwhile, I got my kids, I got my writing, I got my podcast, and I have my protective donkey. I have, Argos. So, from the four of us, and I'm just going to ramble, and I'm not going to send this to anyone. If anyone sees this, fine. If they don't see it, fine. So I'm just going to edit and post. So from the two babies and Agita, Bye for now. See you next podcast. And I'm not sending this link to anyone. I'm just going to